Did you know that Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, or Joan Crawford hygiene habits were downright horrifying? Today, we're peeling back the velvet curtain on Tinseltown's biggest legends and exposing the dirty truth that studio publicity teams work so hard to keep hidden. From legendary body odor to breath that could clear a room, these are the stories Hollywood hoped you'd never hear. Ready to rethink your favorite movie stars? Let's dive in and discover the unwashed side of glamour. Number 1. Clark Gable. The name conjures images of masculine charm, timeless style, and irresistible charisma. The leading man of Gone with the Wind had a smile that made millions swoon and a swagger that defined an era. But while his on-screen persona was the embodiment of sophistication, there was a far less glamorous side lurking just inches away from his famous lips. Gable's dental hygiene, or rather the lack thereof, is legendary in Hollywood lore. By the time he was just 32, Clark Gable had lost nearly all his natural teeth to gum disease, a condition known as periodontitis. The result? A full set of dentures that were uncomfortable, ill-fitting, and, most notably, responsible for a case of halitosis so infamous that it became part of Hollywood legend. His breath was so notoriously foul that co-stars, including the iconic Viven Lee, dreaded intimate scenes. Lee reportedly recoiled at the thought of kissing him, and Sophia Loren even asked directors to minimize their close-up scenes. Crew members whispered about the problem, and yet no one dared mention it to the king of Hollywood himself. To make matters worse, Gable flatly refused to use mouthwash or breath mints, believing it might affect his acting. By his final films, the problem had grown so severe that the smell could be detected from several feet away. Yet his charisma and star power were so overwhelming that audiences never suspected a thing. It's the ultimate Hollywood paradox. The spotlight blinds us to the flaws just beneath the surface. For Clark Gable, a dazzling career masked a reality that was less than fresh. Number 2. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford, an actress whose name is synonymous with fierce ambition and icy perfection, maintained a reputation for being one of Hollywood's most meticulously groomed women. Her sharp cheekbones, striking features, and immaculate sense of style were admired and emulated by millions. Yet the truth behind Crawford's porcelain facade is far more complex and surprisingly unclean. Driven by the relentless pursuit of beauty, Crawford underwent several painful dental procedures. She followed the bizarre Hollywood trend of having molars extracted to create sunken cheeks, a look favored by the studios at the time. The result was a dental disaster. Her front teeth gradually separated, requiring awkward dental cement and crowns to fill the gaps. These procedures led to chronic gum infections, facial swelling, and, most infamously, breath that could knock out an elephant. The contrast was almost tragic. Behind her signature bold lipstick was a painful, festering reality. Ironically, Crawford was obsessively clean in every other area of life. She was known to scrub her hands raw, demand spotless homes, and enforce rigid beauty standards for herself and those around her. Yet her oral hygiene remained her Achilles heel. Makeup artists had to get creative as her dental woes worsened with age, and when she drank, her breath became downright unbearable. Crawford was the ultimate contradiction, immaculate in appearance, disastrous beneath the surface. For all her perfectionism, she proved that even the brightest Hollywood smile could hide years of pain and an unforgettable scent. Number 3. Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate sex symbol, the embodiment of glamour, desire, and Hollywood mystique. Her platinum blonde hair, dazzling red lips, and breathy voice made her an icon across the world. But for those who worked closely with her, the reality was far less enchanting. Despite her immaculate appearance on camera, Monroe was remarkably lax about personal hygiene. She rarely bathed, often skipped deodorant, and in a move considered risque at the time, frequently went without underwear. Long shooting days under hot lights only made things worse. Her body odor was a notorious challenge for makeup artists and wardrobe assistants, who became experts at emergency freshen-ups with powder and perfume. Perhaps most famously, Monroe's habits came to light during the filming of The Misfits, alongside Clark Gable. who himself was a stickler for cleanliness. He was reportedly appalled by her neglect of basic hygiene, with author David Brett revealing that Gable found Monroe completely unattractive off-screen because of her lack of self-care. The costume department dreaded cleaning her dresses, which absorbed sweat and odor after just a few hours. Her trusted makeup artist, Alan Whitey Snyder, became a master at last-minute touch-ups, armed with baby wipes and talcum powder to rescue Marilyn from her less-than-divine reality. Behind the fantasy was a chaotic, contradictory figure, brilliant, troubled, unforgettable, and, by all accounts, surprisingly pungent. Marilyn Monroe's story is a stark reminder of the chasm between Hollywood's illusions and everyday reality. Number 4. Errol Flynn. No one did a dashing adventure quite like Errol Flynn. With his devil-may-care grin and athletic build, he brought swashbuckling heroes to life in classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood. But while he seemed every inch the charming rogue, Flynn's reputation for personal hygiene was anything but heroic. Flynn was notorious for skipping showers, sometimes for days at a time. Whether out of laziness or simple disregard, he seemed immune to the social pressures of basic cleanliness. His late-night parties and legendary drinking sessions didn't help matters. The smell of alcohol mingled with sweat and cigarette smoke, creating an aroma that lingered long after he'd left the set. Co-stars frequently complained about having to work in close proximity to Flynn, whose ripe scent was described as unforgettable. One actress even said being close to Flynn was like kissing an ashtray. Instead of making amends, Flynn wore his bad hygiene almost as a badge of honor, relying on his charm to distract from the funk. Yet for all his on-screen magnetism, behind the scenes, he was more likely to clear a room than fill it. The studios worked hard to polish his image, but no amount of perfume or powder could disguise the truth for those forced to share a set with the man behind the legend. Number 5. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is often remembered as one of the greatest actors of the 20th century, a chameleon who transformed himself for every role, captivating audiences with raw talent and intensity. Yet as the years went on, Brando became just as well known for his rebellious disregard for Hollywood norms, including basic hygiene. Brando's aversion to cleanliness became infamous during his later years. He'd show up on set barefoot, unwashed, and sometimes trailed by bits of food wrappers or even actual trash. His appearance was increasingly disheveled, his hair unkempt, his clothes wrinkled and stained. But perhaps worst of all was his body odor, which became a running joke and source of misery for those who worked with him. Brando didn't just neglect bathing, he actively resisted any attempt to clean up his act. He'd eat messy foods like onions and garlic before romantic scenes, much to the horror of his leading ladies. He thought it was funny, others did not. His disregard for Hollywood's polished image extended to every aspect of his life, and directors and co-stars often had no choice but to put up with it if they wanted to work with a living legend. Yet for all his flaws, Brando's immense talent always seemed to overshadow his hygiene issues. His presence on screen remained electrifying, even if his presence off-screen was overwhelming. Number 6. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo, with her haunting beauty and mesmerizing screen presence, was Hollywood's ultimate enigma. She was known for her mysterious aura, reclusive habits, and deep desire for privacy. But as those closest to her discovered, Garbo's aversion to publicity was matched only by her aversion to regular bathing. According to insiders, Garbo would often go days, sometimes longer, without washing. While her delicate features and cool demeanor suggested an almost otherworldly elegance, in reality, Garbo's personal care habits were far from pristine. Some colleagues noted that her preference for solitude extended to her hygiene, leaving her a little less fragrant than the public ever imagined. On camera, Garbo was untouchable, her mystique unsullied by the demands of daily life. Off camera, however, her tendency to forego bathing left more than a few co-stars holding their breath during intimate scenes. Her legendary privacy made it easy to conceal these habits from the press, but whispers among Hollywood insiders painted a very different picture. Still, Garbo's beauty and talent were so captivating that not even the rumors of her questionable hygiene could tarnish her legendary status. For audiences, she remains the ultimate unattainable icon, proving that a little mystery can go a long way. Number 7. Jean Harlo. Jean Harlo dazzled audiences as the original blonde bombshell, setting beauty trends with her iconic platinum locks and sultry performances. But while her image screamed glamour, those who worked with her were often overwhelmed by a very different reality. Harlo's hair was meticulously maintained through frequent and harsh peroxide treatments, but her dedication to other aspects of hygiene was far less rigorous. Reports suggest that she rarely bathed and was known to forego deodorant, an unfortunate choice in the hot, crowded, and poorly ventilated studios of the 1930s. As a result, Harlo's body odor became a well-known secret on set, and co-stars often struggled to maintain the illusion of romance during love scenes. Studio PR teams worked overtime to preserve her pristine image, dousing her with perfume and carefully staging photo shoots to hide any sign of sweat or discomfort. But the truth was inescapable for those who had to share close quarters with the star. Despite her undeniable physical allure and trailblazing influence on Hollywood style, Jean Harlo's approach to personal cleanliness left much to be desired. Still, her legacy as one of Hollywood's earliest sex symbols endures, proof that sometimes image really is everything. Number 8. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, the silent film era's most beloved comic genius, crafted an image that endures to this day. His little tramp character, with the ill-fitting suit, bowler hat, and cane, became a cultural icon. But behind the slapstick humor and expressive pantomime was a man whose commitment to his costume extended to some rather questionable hygiene habits. According to the cast and crew, Chaplin was notoriously reluctant to change out of his costume between takes. Days of filming would pass, and Chaplin's signature suit, already shabby by design, would become a source of not just laughs but lingering odors. The combination of long, sweaty hours under hot studio lights and a packed production schedule left him smelling less than fresh. Chaplin's focus on his craft was legendary, but it sometimes came at the expense of basic self-care. The cast and crew would often joke about the aroma that signaled Chaplin's arrival, but there was little they could do except open a window and hope for a breeze. For all his brilliance, Chaplin's approach to hygiene was a far cry from the polished perfection Hollywood tried so hard to project. Yet no matter how much he smelled, Chaplin's charm and talent were always enough to win over audiences. The legacy of laughter he left behind still overshadows even the most persistent rumors about his personal habits. Number 9. Viven Lee. Viven Lee is remembered as one of the most exquisite beauties of the silver screen. Her performances in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, capturing hearts and earning accolades. But behind her luminous appearance, Lee struggled with mental health challenges that sometimes left her unable or unwilling to keep up with basic self-care. Lee's battles with bipolar disorder brought on severe mood swings and periods of deep depression. During these episodes, she would sometimes neglect bathing for days, even weeks, and show up on set wearing the same clothes as the day before. The result was an unmistakable odor that those around her tried, often in vain, to ignore. Her co-stars and crew quickly learned to tread carefully, as even well-intentioned reminders about hygiene could provoke outbursts or deepen her distress. Ironically, Lee was quick to notice and comment on others' hygiene, famously complaining about Clark Gable's bad breath during Gone with the Wind, even as her own self-care lapsed. Her personal assistants and friends did their best to support her, sometimes leaving fresh clothes and deodorant in her dressing room in the hope she'd take the hint. But as her health declined, her hygiene often did too. The contrast between her public image and her private struggles is a reminder of the unseen battles faced by even the brightest stars. Number 10. Lana Turner. Lana Turner epitomized Hollywood glamour. Her porcelain skin, sultry gaze, and radiant confidence turned heads and stopped traffic wherever she went. But for those who shared a set with Turner, her beauty came with a cost, one that was all too apparent in the close quarters of a studio soundstage. Turner reportedly had a deep aversion to deodorant, believing that sweating was a natural and healthy way for the body to release toxins. While the theory may have been trendy among a few at the time, The result was anything but appealing in practice. Heavy costumes, blaring lights, and intense scenes quickly turned her natural essence into something much stronger. Actors working alongside Turner often found themselves struggling to focus during romantic or emotional scenes, as her scent could be overpowering. Some joke that her perfume only mixed with the body odor, creating a signature aura that lingered long after she'd left the room. Despite the backstage whispers, Turner's stunning looks and undeniable talent meant she remained one of Hollywood's most bankable and beloved stars. Her aversion to deodorant never seemed to hold her back, even if it made close-ups a little harder to bear. Number 11. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner's beauty was legendary. She was known for her captivating eyes, lush hair, and a free-spirited energy that set her apart from other Hollywood starlets. But that same carefree attitude extended to her approach to hygiene, and not always in the best way. Gardner loved going barefoot, often refusing to wear shoes even on set or in public places. The result was feet that carried a scent strong enough to make an impression all their own. But her neglect of self-care didn't stop there. Rumors persisted that Gardner wasn't particularly diligent about bathing, especially during long, hot shooting days. Co-stars and crew members sometimes complained about her breath, which could make close-up scenes challenging. Gardner, however, seemed unconcerned, preferring to focus on her work and her passions. Her natural allure and magnetism meant that, no matter how she smelled, she could command attention on and off screen. The combination of her earthy, unpolished approach and her stunning good looks made Gardner an unforgettable presence in Hollywood. For audiences, her wild spirit only added to her allure, even if it left a few noses twitching behind the scenes. Number 12. Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine was celebrated for her delicate beauty and captivating performances in films like Rebecca and Suspicion. Her on-screen persona exuded elegance and refinement, but her personal habits told a different story. Fontaine had a reputation for neglecting personal hygiene, with colleagues often remarking on her unmistakable odor. She rarely bathed, preferring instead to let nature take its course. Some claimed she believed frequent washing stripped the skin of its natural oils, a view shared by a handful of her contemporaries. Her disregard for grooming made working closely with her a challenge, especially for actors and directors who had to share intimate scenes. In private letters, her sister Olivia de Havilland reportedly mocked her for her lack of cleanliness. Alfred Hitchcock, ever the perfectionist, devised subtle ways to nudge her toward better hygiene, but rarely succeeded. Fontaine remained unfazed by the whispers. For her, comfort came before conformity, and she didn't let anyone else's opinions dictate her habits. Despite, or perhaps because of, her unconventional ways, Fontaine's legacy in Hollywood is that of a true original, untouched by the expectations of others. Number 13. Bette Davis. Bette Davis, with her piercing gaze and indomitable spirit, was a force of nature both on and off screen. Her reputation for fierce performances was matched only by her reputation for distinctive personal scent. Davis was known to skip deodorant, believing perfume alone could cover any natural odors. The result was a unique aroma, a heady mixture of sweat, perfume, and at times alcohol. Those who worked with her described the scent as unforgettable, lingering in dressing rooms and on costumes long after Davis had departed. Her longtime rival, Joan Crawford, never missed a chance to mock Davis's hygiene, and their legendary feud was as much about personal habits as professional jealousy. Davis's fondness for a drink or two only compounded the problem, as the smell of booze mingled with perfume to create a signature musk. Yet Davis's talent was so powerful, her performances so compelling, that few dared challenge her. Her commanding presence overshadowed the less pleasant realities of working by her side. In the end, her brilliance on screen far outshone any concerns about her scent. Number 14. Mary Aster. Mary Aster was a scene stealer in classics like The Maltese Falcon, exuding grace and sophistication that captivated audiences. But beneath the glamour, Aster struggled with a very human problem: alcohol addiction, which left her with a body odor that was difficult to ignore. Her excessive drinking had physical side effects that even the best wardrobe and makeup teams couldn't fully disguise. Heavy perspiration and the lingering scent of alcohol became hallmarks of Aster's presence on set. When her addiction was at its worst, Aster often skipped regular bathing, and her clothes would carry the same musky, unwashed odor from one shoot to the next. Despite her struggles, Aster's talent and professionalism never wavered. Co-stars and crew simply learned to work around her quirks, sometimes resorting to discreetly opening windows or spraying perfume in shared spaces. Aster's legacy is a testament to the idea that talent can, indeed, overshadow even the most persistent of odors. Number 15. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake was the face of 1940s glamour, her iconic peekaboo hairstyle inspiring countless imitations. But while her silky blonde waves appeared flawless on screen, they often concealed a less than pristine secret. Lake was notorious for neglecting to wash her hair for extended periods, allowing oils, sweat, and layers of styling product to build up. The resulting odor was a frequent source of discomfort for her co-stars, who sometimes dreaded close contact scenes. Crew members whispered about the sour scent that clung to her hair, making even brief interactions memorable for all the wrong reasons. Lake's personal hygiene struggles didn't end with her hair. She was known to wear the same outfits multiple times without washing them, and during periods of heavy drinking, her overall grooming often suffered. Makeup artists did their best to keep her looking fresh, but no amount of powder or perfume could fully mask the issue. Despite these challenges, Lake's screen presence was undeniable. Her cool, detached beauty made her a star, even as those closest to her wished she'd spend a little more time with soap and water. Number 16. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, aviation tycoon, film producer, and legendary playboy, was once the epitome of glamour and power. Early in his career, he was renowned for his meticulous grooming, custom-tailored suits, and insistence on spotless surroundings. But as time passed, Hughes's lifelong battle with obsessive-compulsive disorder took a dramatic toll on his hygiene. What began as extreme cleanliness devolved into pathological behavior. Hughes developed elaborate hand-washing rituals, changed his shirts multiple times daily, and demanded that every item in his environment be scrupulously clean. But by middle age, the obsession flipped. He became a recluse, shutting himself in a darkened hotel suite for months on end. He refused to bathe, let his hair and nails grow to shocking lengths, and even wore tissue boxes on his feet instead of shoes. The ultimate irony? Hughes maintained impossibly high standards for the women he dated, dismissing anyone with even a single blemish. Meanwhile, he surrounded himself with jars of his own urine and refused all attempts at cleaning or personal care. His decline from dashing playboy to isolated hermit is one of Hollywood's most dramatic stories, a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unchecked obsessions. If you found these Hollywood hygiene confessions as jaw-dropping as we did, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more wild stories from entertainment history. Let us know in the comments whose secret shocked you most. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.